get right into this, shall we? So there you go. There's your spoilers for House of the Dragon. If you can read through all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so from the top, it starts out talking about how there had already been a reign of the Targaryens for almost 100 years. And right off the bat, you see the old king, who's, his health is declining, and he has to pick a new heir. Not David heir, but a new heir for the throne. And he has to choose between two people. One is Viserys, and the other one is I forgot her name.
It's Rhaenyra. I think Rhaenyra, because I know Rhaenyra is the daughter, but I think her name's Rhaenyra. I have to, look, if you caught our post show last night, I couldn't remember anybody's names. I was just like, the only name I couldn't
It's not
remember.
like the names are like Jack and Sally. I mean, these are like complex names for us.
No,
I'm like, what the hell?
They all start with R and they end weirdly. So it's Rhaenyra. It's weird, but that's the only name I could remember. Spot on was Rhaenyra. As far as the characters go, but yes, that was what they gave us right at the beginning, which I thought was dope. And I also thought that when the narrator was like, he chose to do this way to prevent war, because if he would have just not done this and just died, there would be war for the throne. So he decided, you know what, before I die, I'm gonna go ahead and pick a successor, and then y'all can just shut the fuck up and just, you know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Move on.
Well, and I love how in the narration it talks about how he knew that was important, because he knew that the one thing that will break the Targaryens is themselves.
Yeah.
He did not want like a civil war happening with his own family, so he said, "No, I'm just going to pick who it is, and you guys are going to have to deal with it." So he picks Viserys. I want to say his name was. He picks him, which was awesome. And then from there, we move on to 9 years later. So like it jumps 9 years right away, which I thought was kind of cool, because I really didn't want to see him trying to learn how to be the king. We just jumped ahead. Hey, look, this is what happened, and now we're here. I was like, okay, that's cool. I mean, to me, that was fine. Did you have a problem with the time jump at all?
No. And also, whenever we needed to see that, because he kind of looked a little. When they named him, obviously his wife's like, yes, it's us. And, he smiles or whatever. And he kind of, it's different than what's happened in Game of Thrones prior in the regular series. It's just like, whenever somebody's just given the throne, bad news. Like the immediate bad news. He looked as though like, yes, the time jump was perfect so that we get him right. Like, and it was fire too, because we got that time jump, and then when he talks to his wife as she's taking, I'm guessing that's sort of like a milk bath or whatever, and she's like, and she starts talking about the children they've lost thus far in this journey to get a male heir.
It wasn't just like, it wasn't clear sailings. I mean, she's gone through some shit.
Yes, 5 kids. Five. She had a couple of.
She had 2 stillborns, and then she had. Then she lost 2 or 3 of them. I was like, damn, this is harsh,
Yeah, and it was, and I'm sure we'll get into that once we get to that certain point. But I kind of was happy for her that she didn't have to fucking suffer anymore, because that shit was fucked, dude. You know what I'm saying? Having to keep doing that just to try to have a male. I was just like, damn. And then like she was like. Go ahead. How do you want to stage it, man? Because I don't want to jump too far ahead in the episode.
Well, guys, make sure, before we jump ahead, make sure you smash the like button. Yes, we're talking Game of Thrones here. Ryan Zieverfeld will join us later. And, guys, just as a heads up, there is an announcement we're making about Ryan when he gets here. In fact, I can say it now. This is going to be his last show with us, because Ryan decided to put on his big boy pants, and he's going to try and pursue a career in something other than YouTube. No, he's going to be taking the class. So today's going to be his last episode with us, but we'll get to that when he gets here. But like I said, smash the like button and subscribe, and consider becoming a member and join the Patreon as well. Okay, so we get to meet his brother, played by what's the actor's name? Matt Smith.
Matt Smith. Yeah.
Now Matt Smith's character, like, look, the guy's a motherfucker. You can tell. Yeah. But he's cool though. You kind of have to have that kind of character running around, causing a ruckus, and he can't be trusted. They don't trust him. The whole council doesn't trust him. But Viserys sticks up for him because that's his brother. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm not gonna trash the guy, but the guy can't help but like kind of get in his own way because he just does what he wants to do. Now he does an act where it was basically when they had the gold.
That shit was
he
crazy.
runs the city watch.
Yeah, basically he's not the King's Guard, but like as far as King's Landing goes, he runs the security for that place. In other words,
exactly. So,
and their first night going out there, dude, they did some destruction. They was chopping cats, nutsacks. Everything was getting cut off.
Nutsacks, fucking dicks, all kinds of shit. Hands, arms, limbs. And it got so bad that we had to have a freaking they had to use a fucking wagon, a 2-horse wagon to pull all the limbs and shit out of there, which was absolutely insane. I was like, holy crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also the King's Hand is dope. I love the actor Rice Atkins, but obviously he was in the Amazing Spider-Man. He played Lizard and shit. That's the same actor. So, but he was great in it too. And look, man, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, once we get towards the end. A lot of the characters, like, it's just like the original Game of Thrones, bro. Who's up to what? Like, who's got this? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's got ulterior motives? And
exactly.
And look, some of the stuff he did in this episode where he was told his daughter, you might want to wear your mother's dress. I was like, whoa. What do you
dude? Okay, so before we get to that was nuts. Okay, that was like, holy shit, dude. What are you asking her to do?
Yeah, exactly.
And did she actually do it? We don't know.
See, we don't, because she came in there and obviously he had the 5. Let me get that model real quick that you had of the 7 kingdoms with all the, you saw Dragonstone in there and that little model that he was working on put together.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that shit was fire. And then she came in, obviously, and, she brought the book and she told him she'd read some stuff. And I thought what she said to him was absolutely fire because obviously she lost her mom. And then, let's see, Rhea said that part was fire. I really enjoyed the yeah, dude, the costumes are always great on Game of Thrones, man. They're fire. But when she came in there, she said, nobody ever asked me how I felt about losing my mom. She said they all gave her those riddles and things of that nature. So that shit was dope.
Hey, guys, dude, we have 130 people watching right now. You guys, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, Game of Thrones is where it's at, man. Game of Thrones is where it's at. It felt so good to have, and you know what? Meg said this the other day. It feels so good to have a Game of Thrones Sunday.
Yes, dude.
I was like,
it's been a couple years, man.
My life, man.
Yo, Game of Thrones Sundays, I'm gonna tell you, man. And because in most cases with Game of Thrones, it didn't fall where this one fell, which is another love of ours that we both have, which is football. So that shit falls right into the season. And so I'm like, it's gonna be a lot of, back and forths and trying to watch this series or whatever. But it just fell at a certain spot in it. But like when I saw that tweet that she put out, and I was just like the same feeling, like, man, when you used to wake up on Sundays, you didn't have to work. The only thing you had to look forward to was that 9 p.m. hitting and that new episode hitting, and it was time, dude. And the discussions that we had after that, yeah. But
and like she said, everyone's watching. Smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, guys. Like lately, the channel has been taking off. I freaking love it. You guys are freaking awesome. But yes, when we get here's the thing too. So going back to the story, after he chops off dicks, arms, legs, all kinds of shit. They have a meeting and they talk about it, and they go, "Hey, man, like, what's your deal?" Yeah. And still, he defends him. He defends his brother. Yeah. Viserys defends his brother.
Damon.
He says
Damon. His brother's Damon. His name's Damon.
Yeah, Damon. That's right. Damon.
Yeah.
He defends Damon, and he says, "Look, they should be something. The Town Watch should be something that they fear. And so he softly defends him, like, hey, you know what? Like, let's not jump to conclusions here on what he's doing. And so I thought that was really cool that he still defended him because, it's family. You guys stick up for family.
Yeah.
It's all about family.
But as we've seen,
actually, you should say that. Go ahead, say it.
What?
It's all about family.
It's all about family. No, but as we've seen with Game of Thrones, family had never.
Ryan's last show, no likes, guys. Smash the like button, you guys. Smash the. Or maybe he's saying he does not like it.
Yeah.
But so going back to what King Sphincter says, he was talking about how the costumes are great. Yeah, I thought the costumes, the special effects, the lighting, everything about it was done so well, and it was awesome. Like nothing, like they spared no expense, and they made sure that this show was gonna kick fucking ass, and it did. And I was so happy to see that they put. This is what it looks like when you put all your cards on the table. Hey, we're gonna make sure that this show fucking stands out amongst the rest. You know what I mean? Like this is a man among men. You know, so like, and they did that because one of the things that I was worried about was that is this show gonna come out and it's gonna have a lesser feel to it, like a like Game of Thrones is one thing. This is like that, but it kind of lacks in. The special effects, or it lacks in the acting, and I felt like it did not lack in any one of those departments.
No,
it delivered 100%.
No, it as far as, and I said it last night, it had the same. For those of you who don't know, I came into Game of Thrones just a tad bit late. Somebody introduced it to me between seasons 2 and 3. Watched the first 2 seasons, got hooked on it, and the rest is history, obviously. And so but the very first episode, I do remember watching it, and this one had the same slow fire burn. Like there's a lot of shit happening, and since we're well versed on Game of Thrones, we could watch this first episode and be like, oh, but wait, yes, it was kind of slow, but wait, because we know what the show brings. But like people who are new to it, like when I watched the very first episode of Game of Thrones, it was kind of slow to me too. Like it took me a minute to catch on because not a lot of shit's happening. There's a lot of similar things that I saw here with the other one too. And so no, but this one I'm like, this shit was start to finish dope, man. Performances, everything was fire.
Yeah, it was complete fire, dude. It was so badass. Let me see if I can find a something real quick. But I mean, then you get to the tournament. Yes. Which they had been talking about the entire show, like, oh yeah, the tournament. And so we get to that tournament, and then we get to see what is it called, the jousting. And dude, it's a fucking brutal game. You're almost just like, why are you guys doing this for? Like,
yes, dude, for real.
Yeah, it was like
in this day and age, I'm like, can we play a Madden tournament? Why we gotta get each other?
You know what I'm saying? Like, dudes were getting their fucking heads smashed in and shit. I was like,
medieval games were ridiculous, dude. Medieval games are, but it's fire to see it in that context where like that's like a big part, and obviously the champions coming up and asking for the princesses and queens to give them their love and shit like that. That shit's all dope, man. I love. Yeah,
you know what? That was really cool that they really emphasized that element, and that you could do that. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And also, when you're talking about the tournaments, I was, Damon, I was like, he's clapping. Did he got clapped on? And I was like, will he accept that? He didn't at first. He, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, nah. And then dude ended up fucking. And I don't know what that dude's place is and all of this, but the dude that clapped him, you know what I'm talking about, who said, hey, man, just surrender. Basically with the ball and chain and shit, and he was like, "All right, I'll do that." And so Damon ended up surrendering or whatever. But
and that was crazy too, because I mean, when the other guy got up and asked for the girls' thing,
I would call it their love. I can't remember
their
exactly
love or their blessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, their blessing.
I thought for sure Damon was gonna come up and like cut his fucking head off. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like something brutal. But no, he actually accepted the defeat, and I thought he was not gonna be able to accept that. Like you were saying, I thought he was gonna do something stupid, but he didn't though. Which I was like, okay, cool, because he did challenge the Hand of the King. He challenged his son.
Yeah,
and then the second time through, he fucking hit the horse, and the guy went flying forward.
Yeah,
I was like, "Damn, dude!" It's almost like he knew that he was like, "Look, I don't want to kill the guy, but I'm definitely gonna let him know, like, fuck off.
Yeah, because he said when they had that interaction at the table earlier, Viserys says to him, he's like, yo, he tells the hand, he's like, yo, don't let him, because he's like, you always let him get up under your skin, basically. And he's like, yeah, he just sits back, because he stands up because he says some shit about his dead wife or whatever.
Yes, he did. That was fucked up, too. I was like, oh my God, dude. Yeah. What's your deal? But no, it was done so well. And then, like, the other guys get into a fight, some random people get into a fight, and then they're like fighting each other to the death. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
License. But that shit, I think it was, they wanted that shit to kind of parallel what was happening with Viserys' wife and the baby and things of that nature. I think, I've been watching Game of Thrones long enough to know that was going to end bad. Like when the scene started, when he came out amongst the people, he was like, we're having this tournament. He was like, and I have a big announcement. The queen is giving birth. I was like, that's bad news. He
started her labor. I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, that's bad news. That I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like immediately I thought just because I've been watching Game of Thrones long enough to know that's not good. You know what I'm saying? The way he said it. And so
because they, what do you say? Like they kind of highlighted it. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yes.
Why they highlighted it for? What's going on?
And then so obviously,
what's going on, man?
What up? Hey, yes. Phil,
and here he comes right now, Mr. Phil Barker. What's going on, Phil?
What up, Phil?
What's up, fellas? How you doing?
What's good, man?
Phil, did you get a chance to watch House of the Dragon last night?
Yeah, he said it was sauce, man. He said it was sauce.
I know. I'm just setting him up, goddammit. What did you think about House of the Dragon?
That was beautiful.
Yes.
Like, if I had to sum it up in one word, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I feel like if I had to choose a favorite house, more than likely it'd probably be Targaryen, because that's what drew me in from the original show, was watching Daenerys, Jason Momoa, the whole dragon egg, all that shit.
Yeah.
So seeing
her shitty ass brother,
who
got the golden crown. Hey,
got a gold shower, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was rough. That was rough.
Wild is what that was. But man, I think that was probably a really strong start to a new show in that universe. I liked the premise of it. I liked a lot of the supporting cast. Was genuinely surprised that Rhys Ifans was Otto Hightower. Did not know that at all. Didn't even recognize.
He did an amazing job.
No, the only reason I knew that was him was because I watched. The HBO had a bunch of yesterday getting prepped for the show. Watched a bunch of little segments on HBO Max and whatever where they showed a bunch of just behind the scenes things, and I saw a couple things where I was like, wait a minute, that's the lizard. I remember this fire actor, and then I think the episode definitely benefited from the original Game of Thrones being so successful.
Yeah, of course.
But what I'm saying is it could have stood alone on its own. It could have been fire if this was the first we'd ever heard of Game of Thrones, new HBO series, House of the Dragon. I think the first episode to this, like I was saying earlier, parallels the first episode of Game of Thrones to an extent that you don't know the characters. Not much happens. Some stuff happens. And obviously, we all remember from the very first episode of Game of Thrones, the Starks lined up, waiting for Robert Baratheon to come into to Winterfell with his with his Cersei and all of them. And so, like, this was a similar type deal. They did have the benefit that we know what Game of Thrones is, and we know what to look forward to and things of that nature. I thought it was absolutely incredible, man. And they show. I don't know how you guys watched it, but on HBO Max they had like a little 3-minute thing that they played before the show started, and it was all the producers, the writers, and everybody being basically scared shitless about doing this because of the legacy left behind by the other show. And I'll tell them now if they're watching. I don't know if they are, but if you're watching, you guys did a fantastic fucking job. That shit was dope.
Fantastic, dude. It was badass.
It was dope. I felt like I was back in that fucking universe. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit that started a long time ago for me. Like I felt like I was back there. It was Sunday night. Game of Thrones was on. I was losing my mind about shit that was happening. I was watching it. It was great. It was great, man.
Yeah, it was. I would say that it was one of the other times that. Hold on, my wife's trying to get a hold of me. Yes.
I like how they weaved in the original Game of Thrones theme throughout.
Yes.
Yes.
That was dope.
Yeah.
Please call me SK says I'm hooked already. Yes, and that was the thing too, is that the show had an established fan base at this time. Yes, it definitely did. But at the same time, though, I think that it serves as a standalone because there's a lot of people that I saw on social media who had never seen the original Game of Thrones, but they watched last night's and they were like, "Yeah, I love it," And
that's Rhea. She's never watched the original, so she came into that shit fresh yesterday. And she loves it.
Wow.
Yeah. Rhea's, yeah. I remember her, she was on the show last night. She said she'd never watched the original stuff. So that's fire, dude. That's fire. And she's in a good place to where whatever point she feels like she wants to go back and start watching. Because I don't know what they're... I mean, obviously, probably off the viewings on the first episode alone, this show's getting some more seasons. Let's not make a mistake.
Right.
It's coming back.
So keep talking about. I'll be right back. I gotta let my kids in here real quick. Hold on.
Okay. Go ahead. But no, the show's absolutely incredible. And let's see. And for anyone that thought it was a little slow, if you have something interesting about it. No, yes, I think that's what they do, man. That's how you start off a new series. You can't just go into it running like that. And that's the original Game of Thrones. The first episode was the exact same way. You saw everybody get their dire wolves, and you had Eddard with the fire line, like who imposes the sentence must carry out that shit. All of that fire shit from that first episode. And there was some fire shit in this first episode too that I could see having some long-standing effects down the line. And obviously, you see the bottom line. We're talking spoilers and that shit, man. Phil, when he told his daughter, he brought her closer, and he said, they called it a song of ice and fire. What'd you think, dude?
I thought, well, first of all, to touch on King Viserys, I can't recall the actor's name, but he showed a pretty wide range of emotion in regards to like showing himself being happy when the big celebration was happening. They were having the duels and shit, but then also like coming to the conclusion that you have to make a decision between saving your daughter or saving your unborn child or saving your wife.
That was crazy, and what do you do at that point? You almost have to take that chance because go ahead. And
then after that, you get the dialogue bit from his daughter. My brother only lived for a few hours. Then you see the funeral, the body of the mother and the child next to each other. Then they bring the dragon down. I was like, oh fuck, they're gonna cremate the bodies with dragon fire.
Yeah. Well,
which is very fitting. Very fitting.
Yeah. I think and that's also another moment in the series that I was just like, you know what I mean? Like, you're sitting down watching this shit, but like as far as me sitting up in my seat, that was another one when they had them, because at first you only see the wife's body on the pyre, right? And then it goes on, and then once it gets to Rhaenyra, and she's supposed to say the word, and I spoke it. I said, "Oh, just say it." I knew it was coming, and she couldn't say it at first because she was kind of choked up because of the emotion and shit.
Right.
And then they show the baby. I was like I was saying earlier, me and my wife, we knew that was going to happen just because of this is Game of Thrones. You have somebody make that type of choice where they're like, okay, if she dies, she does. As long as the son lives. He had a son, and then you hear the breathing or whatever. We were both like, oh. This is signature Game of Thrones. Let me put you through 7,000 degrees of emotion in an episode, and then here we go.
In a 5-minute time span.
Yes, yes. And then once she says, and she has her way of saying Dracarys, that shit was dope. And the dragon came down, and
to get to your point in regards to like how I'm getting, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, you get to the point in the episode where King Viserys tells Rhaenyra, is it Rhaenyra or Rhaenyra? Rhaenyra. He tells Rhaenyra, like he's essentially telling her, like, I'm going to make you the heir to hell with my brother because he's a fucking fool. Yeah. He takes that choice into consideration because he was essentially kind of gifted the role of king without really wanting it, as opposed to the other I forget the name because it was, you know, I got to rewatch the episode again to get familiar with it. But it's it's another Targaryen, I think. I could be wrong about that, but
I think
essentially,
yeah. It's
oh, definitely. Go ahead.
No, it's his cousin.
Yes.
The other, yes. I'm trying to find names. Yeah, that's one of the things we were talking last night. Is, you know, as always with Game of Thrones, it takes me like a few seasons before I get names down pat. Just because, and like Andre was saying earlier, the names aren't just John and Wesley. It's fucking Vigera. It's just crazy, the names in Game of Thrones. So like, it takes a minute to, you know, to get them down pat. But
you know, the fact that Viserys was. He looked at the situation presented to him, right? Like, he's 9 years into his kingship, and then he has to make a choice of who his heir is going to be now that he no longer has a wife. He no longer has a son to pass that heir on to. Instead of going for the obvious choice in which his council, all men, mind you, are like,
I know.
your brother's right there, dude. Like, this has been the law of the land for 100 years. You may as well just, like, bite the bullet, give it to your brother. And he claps back, like, why would I give it to him? We made him, like, head of the watch. We've seen what kind of hell that brought. We can't bring him to be the head of coin because that's just a bad idea too. Daemon will not be my heir. I'm not going to let that happen. So he makes the harder choice and accepts the fact that, you know, my daughter has been shunned by me and the rest of my family for, you know, 10, 11, 12 years. Maybe it's time I look at her a little differently and grow up a little bit and actually accept the fact that she is my kin. She is worthy of this throne, and it is going to be hell or high water if she is usurped from it. So I'm going to make damn sure that when she does take this throne, she understands the ramifications and the possible consequences that will come with it. Right. Which is exactly why when he tells her of the Song of Ice and Fire, that was the most important thing, because he's kind of like, it's the best way to say it without sounding loony. He's basically like one of those people who anticipates the end, and he's basically anticipating the White Walkers coming, even though they don't show up for another 170 years. But the fact that he's preparing her for that says a lot about his character, because that prophecy is foretold to some extent, and they want to be prepared for it. And anyone who's going to take the Iron Throne has to be prepared for it. And it's funny because this first pilot, it is like a really awkward, weird parallel from the first episode of Game of Thrones, where you saw the future king get shoved out a window, right? You don't see who's the king. Like, you don't see who the future king is, but you don't know it yet. But in in the first episode here, you are made well aware of who the future king is going to be. And I dug
also that. In that first episode of Game of Thrones, they only did it, I think, 3 times in the entire 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. But the first episode was one that it didn't start with the intro. It started with a little precursor, which was White Walkers. You know what I'm talking about? And
dude, the fact that they brought up that whole prophecy, and oh my god, I was like, what the hell? I was like, this is amazing.
That is a carried down from king to king secret is so fucking dope.
And he was like, you have to keep the secret to yourself.
Yes,
you know what I mean, I was like,
because
what?
panic, because people will fucking be either people won't believe you or they'll panic. That shit was so fucking dope, dude. I was like, man, yo, this is y'all are killing me. Let's see, I got some of my yo. This name is
what?
The name of the, and look, I will just call her a woman of the night that Daemon was with.
Oh yeah,
that he was barely with because his performance issues. But when he was with her, she's apparently going to be in every.
You noticed that, huh? You noticed that?
Oh, yes.
Performance issues. All he's like, oh, I'm done. Like, oh.
Apparently, she's going to be in every episode this season, and her name is Mysaria. Mysaria.
And she was fire, though. She was fire.
No, yeah, but the fact that he let her touch the dragon at the end, you remember that? I was like, wait a minute. I asked my wife, is that the girl from the brothel? She said yes. I was like,
yeah, that was her.
Whoa. Like that's a, you know what I'm saying? That's a curve thrown in there, seriously, because normally when it comes to those women that work at the brothels, they ain't bringing them back to the dragons and letting them, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to impress her because he's already prince. Yeah, so I don't know why he did that. If she's gonna be his squeeze for the series or for this season. Who knows, man? But yeah, it was it's dope, man. And I think and look, I haven't read the books, never read the books, so I can't tell you how much this connects. I do know that the little subtle connections they made between this and what we all have already seen is absolutely incredible. And
like what Phil was saying earlier, the fact that during the tournament and during her birth, they were kind of mirroring what was happening, and when things started to go down, and they literally, they literally had to go in and cut the baby out of her. Which was like, oh god, it was,
it's a C-section, but in that time, motherfuckers were dying from like diarrhea.
There's no painkillers, there's no numbing medication. They just straight played the belly. Dude. I was just like, oh my god! I was like, God.
And also, right before that scene happened, I did appreciate hearing it one more time. It was like, we gave her all milk of the poppy we can give her and not harm the baby. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, milk of the poppy. There it is. No, that scene, dude. And also, let's not forget what's ailing his back. Whatever he had on his back that was pussing and shit.
That was crazy too. But then they were like, let's cauterize it. I'd been like, fuck, just do it right now. You know what I mean?
Dude, why not? Just go ahead and fucking burn it. Yeah. That was as soon, and look, like I said, like we're versed in this universe. So when we saw him, I saw that on his back. I was like, oh, he's dying at some, like, obviously he's dying, but like, I was like, oh, it's going to be bad. Like,
he's
King Baratheon.
He's for sure going to go out like King Baratheon did.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. It's going to get worse and worse. And not to mention, he's already under like a mass amount of stress, depression, and then those things don't help your health at all. But Rhea's got a good point.
So King,
she's sus on Daemon. He better leave Rhaenyra alone. She loves. Was it
Allison? Is that the I think that's the dude that she gave her shit to.
That was his name, Allison. That's right. But here's the thing, though, is that like from what I understand, the lore when it comes to the Targaryens was that I thought they kind of kept their bloodline within each. Like,
so
it wouldn't surprise me if Daemon and her eventually end up together, because they have to keep their bloodline as pure as possible. So how do you do that? You know. And even what's his name?
It was weird. It's weird to think about.
His wife had white hair.
I was like, wait a minute, are they both Targaryens? Like that. I literally asked my wife that while we were watching. I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of weird. They're both fully blonde headed. Like, are they both Targaryens? Which is, if they are, then that's.
And that was kind of scary too, because that was. Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Game of Thrones. And that's the thing too, is that it wouldn't surprise me if they started to go down that route. I mean, look, you already had in the original Game of Thrones, you had Jon Snow and Dany Targaryen, who actually were related.
Right.
I mean, they didn't know it until the very end, but they were still related. So, and he does, Daemon sort of favors and kind of fancies her as well. And she does the same back at him. So it wouldn't surprise me if they somehow explored that later on. You know, maybe towards the end of the season, who knows? If not sooner. So that would not surprise me.
Yeah. And as happy as I was with the trailers that they put out before, there's one detail I wish they had left out, considering the relationship between Rhaenyra and I can't remember the other girl's name. The Hand's daughter. The relationship the relationship that they have. See, I've seen to it, because you see in one of the trailers, she goes to stab her, and Rhaenyra stops her hand. And she says, "Now everybody can see what." Yes, it's in one of the trailers, and I was like, "Oh, man."
I get the feeling that his daughter.
They had such a loving relationship that, like, I had already seen that in the trailer. She's like, now everyone can see how you really feel. Basically, is what her words are.
And you can kind of see that kind of starting to develop as well. It's sort of like this jealousy over, she's a Targaryen. She's a princess. She has everything she needs. You know what I mean? So I would assume there's going to be a little bit of animosity between the two characters as the story goes on. Now that she's been made the heir of the throne, you know, it looks like what's his name, the king,
Viserys.
Because of that shit on his back and what he's going through, it doesn't sound like he's going to be sticking around for a whole long time.
When they said in the coming episodes at the end and it showed a preview, it showed him walking through a door, and I was like, bro, he looks 20 years older than when I just saw him. Obviously, that's probably the case just because the older actress who plays Rhaenyra was there as well. So yeah. But it looks like he might make it until she's at least in her mid-20s or something. You know what I mean?
Oh wait, so this girl is actually going to get replaced by a different actress later on?
Oh yeah.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Hold on. Here, you should be fine. I played this shit last night. So
what is
it? It's the. Did you watch the trailer they showed afterwards? They showed
they showed a trailer. I got also kind of like an insight from the showrunners, executive producers a little bit.
Yeah, that shit was dope. Some
of the actors.
I always watch those for every Game of Thrones episode. You have to watch that because there's some things that they talk about that I didn't even notice in the episodes. I was like, oh shit. And then I thought it was cool that at the end when he makes her the heir, that the other kingdoms have to come over and bend the knee.
Rickon was dude.
That
shit was. And you know what I also noticed?
Stark, I was like, wow, that's badass.
You remember the first episode when they go down beneath Winterfell? He's like, I was named after Rickon. You know what I'm talking about? Like Rickon Stark. Yeah. That's just dope. Also, it was also a thing that I definitely noticed is that all of the kingdom that came to kneel before her to show her whatever, none of them were happy.
Nope.
None of them.
No. They were very uncertain. They were like, why am I bending the knee to a young girl? Like, I don't understand. But it was cool because you know what? Like even this show does that where it's sort of it plays on like the old school like stereotypes that existed, and they kind of play off of that, and I like that. And another show that did that really well. Hey, can you let him in, Mason? Let him in. Sorry, my kid's trying to get in. My other son's like ignoring him. But no, another show that did a very good job at this was Mad Men, where they really showed, the how men treated women in the workplace, how it was like very unethical. It was very like over the top. You gotta turn the knob, dude. Here, bend the knee. All right. I'm going to put this on real quick because I got to go let him in. Hold on.
Yeah.
So this is basically, ladies and gentlemen, this is what they showed after the episode last night. It says it's the weeks ahead is what it says, but there's a lot of telling stuff in here as far as
I'd imagine. Are they doing the same kind of format as the initial show? Are they doing 10 episode seasons?
Yep, 10. Yep, 10 episodes. So yeah, man. And the thing about it is it's Game of Thrones and it's HBO, so it's not like they have to wait for some kind of ratings to announce another season.
Oh God, no!
But they haven't announced another season. I'm sure the ratings last night were off the fucking chain. That shit was.
Wait, did you play it?
No, I'm about to.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I was leading up. So here we go.
From my blood come the prince that was promised.
The prince that was promised.
And his will be the song of ice and fire.
Yeah.
The burden of this knowledge. It is larger than the throne. It is larger than you.
See, that's her when she's older.
The king chose Rhaenyra. The realm will not accept her.
That's a different actress altogether.
Yeah, for both of them. Wow.
I did not expect that.
But the people remember the ancient strength.
Dope, dude. Dope.
Okay.
That was dope, dude.
Yeah,
that was dope.
Well,
and then I love too how they even touched on, ancient Valeria. How they touched on, that city, that once existed, and how they fell, and because I remember how in the lore of Game of Thrones, the Targaryens left Valeria like almost right before its downfall. Like they took off. The whole thing, and plus the whole dragon scale sickness took over that city as well, which it looks like we kind of saw a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, that's what somebody was saying. That's dragon. I thought it was too, but it was like when I first saw it, I didn't think it was, but then I do remember this is a fucking foul episode of Game of Thrones when he goes dipping into the Jorah's back to get the grayscale, then it smells some oatmeal or whatever the fuck that is. A pot pie, that's what it is. It's a pot pie like that, and it's like you're like, oh, it's gross. That's basically the same. That's probably grayscale because of the fluid that was coming out around it, which is disgusting. But yeah. So he's probably catching some of that shit. So who knows? But you saw him. He looked a little bit older. He looked like he was about to die. Hair was like
turning gray.
I do think that the two actresses, the four actresses, honestly are fire, dude. The young Rhaenyra and the cousin or the Hand's daughter, and then them as older. And obviously, we didn't get to see in this one the actual scene I was talking about where she goes to like stab Rhaenyra in front of a fucking entire. Let's see if I can find that. Y'all go ahead and talk about it. But let's see. I do want to see that one because that one's kind of really telling as far as like what we got coming on.
The scene where they performed I guess you could say the cesarean when they had to remove the baby from her belly. That was a very, very, very hard scene to watch because she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know what they were doing. And then when it started to happen, it's almost like she realized that she was going to die.
Yep.
And she's asking him like, what's happening? Like, no, because she knew what was about to happen. But, in that case, I don't know. What do you do as the king? Do you risk it? But then again, it didn't really pay off anyway because the child died anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just a lose situation at that point, and she was looking weaker and weaker as she went on with her labor. So I think he felt like there was no other choice but to do it, which is it's just sad. I
keep thinking about the character of Daemon Targaryen played by Matt Smith, and I just keep thinking to myself, like, what a standout performance. Because typically, you see him, more recently he was in Morbius. I still haven't seen that, but a lot of people would be like, oh, hey, Doctor Who. Very
Doctor Who.
Yeah. Mild-mannered, very
He was
kind.
great in Morbius, too. He was probably the standout performance in Morbius for me.
Yeah, hey, SK, I know exactly what you mean. I just had to bring it up just that one time, but I was like, man, it was just... To have that scene with everything else happening... It was also so much. I was like, whoa, this is rough.
It's also pivotal probably for this entire series. Yeah. It's probably pivotal as far as like 2 seasons down the line, there could be callbacks to it. Like that's the same thing with Game of Thrones. There was always like there were things that you'd see early in the series and you'd be like, God, I don't want to see that again. But then like there's always callbacks, and it's I'll even go to one in particular with the original Game of Thrones, when Ramsay had had Sansa and he made Reek, he was like, no, you stay and watch. Like that's a pivotal. You don't see anything basically with that scene, but going forward the next couple of seasons with Game of Thrones, that shit's pivotal, man. Like the fact that he made Reek watch him rape or whatever he did.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about. Yes, that is
Ramsay was something else, man.
Dude. But like, so like that particular scene that we're talking about here, and I do feel you, man. They said, please call me ask. I do feel you. That shit was bad. Like I don't want to see it again.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I think, and if it's the end of this season, if it's next season, if it's the season after that, they're going to go back to that as a pivotal moment because those things always mean something. And the fact, look, and I'm sure you guys felt the same way I did. As soon as the Maester stepped to him with, well, there's this procedure that I was like, okay, it's about to be bad. it's going downhill very fast right now because we already know his state of mind. He wants a son really, really fucking bad. His wife already said to him in the bathtub, she's like, I'm sorry if I failed you and not giving you an heir. In which he made it clear, like, you have not failed me. Like, this is
that was the red flag right there when she apologized the fact
that
he had 4 different attempts at having a son and not one of them went through. I was like, oh well, this is going to be your definite last.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah. And I do like the way though that he made it. He didn't say anything, but he made it clear, like, you don't have to, you didn't fail me. You're my wife. But when it came down to it, and the Maester, because obviously we already know people look at Maesters in high regard in Game of Thrones. When he said there's a procedure,
they totally do.
Yeah, I was like, don't do it. And then obviously we saw what happened, and
oh, my son just kicked my camera.
Uh-oh.
That's how we do it around here. Okay, so yeah, no, it's just God,
Yo, pull up SK's comment down at it last week. He said if episode 1 left our minds with serious. Yo, man, Game of Thrones does it to you, man. They do it to you. They do it to you. And
oh God, I couldn't
do
imagine.
It to you, man.
It was just like nothing. It was just straight up like, get the baby out. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh God. I can't.
Like the only thing the original Game of Thrones, I can remember being upset, pissed off, sad, and mad at the series until like the end of season 5. Once people started, because all your favorite characters were always losing. You're like, oh, they're so close. They lost again. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was.
You just brought up like some flashbacks because I had a lot of friends who were huge Hodor fans, right? And then the way he went out, right? Like I would just kind of joke and be like, "Hey guys, can I hold the door for you?"
Can I hold the door for you?
And then be like, "You're a dick." Like, hey,
I remember going to work that Monday and just even speaking of it, and there was like 3 people who was like, "It's too soon, man." Like seriously, like it's too soon. I was like, "Yo, it is soon," but like I just want to talk about it with people. But yeah.
Game of Thrones does that though. Like they have these episodes that just stand out amongst the others that are just so traumatic. Like the Red Wedding. Obviously, that was like the first one where it was like, I remember when it happened. We were like, holy crap!
That's some of the best TV I've ever seen in my life. The Red Wedding is. It's just obviously it was in the books. I don't. Like I said,
I know, but to see it though, to see it was
so
like,
fucking just shit. Like it was amazing. Like
at the end when their mom gets her throat slit, you're just like, oh God, like damn.
Yo, I'll tell you this. When you watch ESPN on Monday morning and they're like, holy shit, I still haven't gotten over Game of Thrones last night. Game of Thrones is real. When you hear people on ESPN talking about it's fine.
Okay, Ray has a comment here. She says, it's an important reminder how bodily autonomy or anatomy is still something that is taken from women constantly. Even Rhaenyra was forced by her father to take on the responsibility for uniting the kingdom. Yeah.
That's
dude, when the Hand of the King, when he told his daughter, maybe you should wear one of your mother's dresses, I was like, oh God, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like,
that was
why did he do
that? One I was like, wait a minute, because I remember me and my wife we were talking about something, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on, what did he just say? And I remember she came in there talking to her, and whatever. And then when he said that, maybe you should wear one of your mom's dresses, I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, I got a pretty ugly feeling after hearing that. I was like, what are you trying to do?
Is that like job security right there? Like he's just like, hey, go in there and
if
you got to do it, then do it. But the question is, did that actually happen? We don't know because the scene ended beforehand.
I do remember telling Andre before we got on, I was talking about how fire that his models were. Give me all those though.
Oh yeah.
He had like King's Landing, plus he had like Dragonstone in there. Like those models were dope.
It was badass. I was like, wow, this is really
Which
cool.
is probably they have, in Game of Thrones as far as the kingdom shit.
But no, I mean, like just to go back to the whole Game of Thrones, isms, if you want to put it that way. The fact that he told her to wear her mother's dress, things like that, that you only see in a show like Game of Thrones. You're just like, oh God, why are you doing this? Don't do that, damn it! Oh man, yeah. And you don't even know if it actually happened or not because the scene ended. You're just like, okay, so did it happen? I don't know. The same as with the baby. I didn't realize the baby was dead until until they were cremating them.
You heard the breathing. You heard the breathing and stuff. And
I know, and I heard the breathing, and I was kind of like, hey, dude, like kind of. But they have no way of. They don't have any suction or anything to
Yeah. Just no. Yeah.
It's just so brutal. You're just like, wow. And something we touched on earlier, Phil, was that the oh, what's up, Meg? Let's go. We got Meg in the house. What's going down? Smash the like button for Meg.
It's hilarious.
And subscribe to her channel as well. But no, the oh fuck, what was I even talking about?
Wonder Meg, also a huge fan of Game of Thrones.
Huge fan of Game of Thrones, and they have a post show on Sunday, which they aired last night.
That's right.
And but no, overall though, I thought the show, the first episode was amazing. I thought it hit on all fronts, and it did a great job. Phil, do you have any last comments that you want to talk about when it comes to Game of Thrones before we move on?
I feel like Daemon Targaryen is going to be a player to pay attention to. Because I mean, definitely. The title is House of Dragons, right? But this is from Game of Thrones. The Iron Throne will obviously come into play, and it is now going to be. I feel like this series is very well going to be like what is going to be the power grab of House Targaryen in order who gets the Iron Throne. It's going to be less about the other houses, more so about House Targaryen and who really fights and how they battle for the throne. And honestly, it very well could. This first couple seasons is probably going to be about Rhaenyra's ascension to the throne. Yeah, that's just my take on it.
Oh, definitely. I'd ask Anthony, but he just stepped away for a minute. So, but guys, if you haven't done so yet, check out House the Dragon over on HBO Max. It's a badass episode. You don't even have to watch. You don't even have to have watched the original series to watch this, which is what I told Ryan, but he still didn't watch it anyway. So
that doesn't shock me.
It doesn't shock me at all.